On the 12th of December 1955, the Cork Opera House was burned to the ground. And with it went part of the very heart of Cork, because this had been the window on the world for the people of Cork, the window where they saw music, opera, variety, and the drama. And many of the greatest names that filled the stages of the world, the English-speaking world, in those years had appeared here. That is 7 years ago. I want you to meet Mr. Bill Toomey, who was manager of the Opera House, indeed, when the fire happened. Bill, when did you find out that the Opera House was on fire on that tragic night?
Well, I returned to work on my pantomime bookings, Ronnie, and I noticed a smell of burning. I went and looked for fire, but couldn't find any, but did ring the fire brigade just to see if there was any signs of fire in the house. Before they could come to inspect the building, smoke and flames were seen coming through the roof, and then of course we had the full fire brigade in action.
Yes. Now, you, even in your period of management in the Opera House, knew and met great names in the theatre.
Well, of course, my period there wasn't so long as all that, Ronnie, 1948 until 55, but we did see many of the famous names of the theatre in that time. I remember Mr. Clope, who you may be talking to later,
yes,
bringing Jessie Matthews to play in a play called Castles in the Air, and she was quite a big attraction in that play.
Now, it's taken 7 years to begin the demolition, apart from the beginning of the building. Now, what has your committee been doing up to now to try and speed this up? It's a long time.
Well, of course, originally, Ronnie, the idea was that we would put this building up by private endeavour. When that was found not to be fruitful or successful, we made an approach to the corporation, were received wonderfully by them. We also went to the government, and they helped us, and that has made the project probably realizable today.
Yeah. Now, what could you give us a brief outline of the financial situation of the project at the minute? How much are you putting in as private? I mean, by you, I mean the committee, and how much from government and local taxation sources?
Well, it's a condition of our loans and grant. We're getting a grant from the government of £50,000. We are getting a guaranteed loan of £50,000. That's a government guaranteed loan. We're getting £25,000 from the corporation, and all these loans and grants are contingent upon us raising £75,000 by private subscription.
Well, you know that we wish you the best of luck with that. I'll be back to talk to you in a moment. At the moment, I just want to turn around and talk for a moment to a man who knows more about what Cork audiences really want than anybody else that I can think of, Carl Clope. Carl, how long have you been presenting shows in Cork?
Oh, for the last 25 years.
Yeah, most of them at the Opera House until it was burned down.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, what do you think is the recipe for a successful show in Cork?
Wish I knew the complete answer to that one, but perhaps I know, shall I say, 60% of the answer. It's good, strong plays with plenty of meat in them, whether it's comedy or whether it's drama. That's the sort of thing that goes best in Cork. But I must say, as opposed to most audiences, immediately you announce your current play, before you open, they seem to have made up their minds whether they're going to come or not. And that's my problem.
Uh-huh. Now, what was the most successful show you ever presented in Cork?
Let's say Pygmalion probably was one of the most financially successful plays we presented. And artistically, I think the First Legion, the drama of the Jesuit order, that transposed from being a colossal failure into a colossal success for some reason or other.
Just before we turn back to Bill Toomey, have you got any particular nostalgic memory of the old Cork Opera House that you'd like to recall for us?
Well, yes, I think it was a great privilege to play there and bring over such artists as Sir John Martin Harvey, Felicity Orson-Terry, Esme Percy, and I hope we'll be able to bring over as many friends and favourite actors and actresses in the new Opera House.
And I'm sure all the people of Cork look forward to that day too. Thank you, Carl Clope. If I may just turn back to you for a moment, Bill. The theatre that you're building, what will the size be, the capacity of seating, and what will the accommodation be for plays? What sort of accommodation do you plan?
Well, we have a wonderful stage planned. It will be much bigger than the old stage. It's squared off. It will give accommodation for really anything that we can put on, even circuses. The seating accommodation is 1,000. Now, some people have complained about this seating. The old theatre was 1,300 seats, but there were seats of rather inferior quality, as you possibly may remember yourself. In this theatre, you will have 1,000 seats of excellent quality, and we feel that it is quite sufficient for Cork.
Are you afraid of television and what it may do to live audiences in theatres?
Well, I think we'll face up to that when the time comes. I don't think, in a sense, that television injures the live theatre. I don't really think that.
And when do you think the day will come? When is the planned opening date?
Well, we've started demolition. It's in the lap of the gods. We could, with luck, complete building within a year and a half. But we want luck, Ronnie.
Good. Thank you, Bill, for talking to us. And let us hope that when that stage door is reopened, that it will house many, many great artists of the future as it did of the past.